谢谢。Hey there, guys. It's the long promised Macau episode. It's been a couple of months since I've been, and I'd like to say I've been working on this hard ever since then, and it's going to be a great episode. But really, I haven't had a lot of time, and with the transition back to Chenzhou. So this is an episode I threw together relatively quickly, but hopefully it's still going to be interesting and cool to look at. What you're looking at right now is Macau Tower, one of those standard tourist towers in a tourist city, but always pretty cool, I think. I like to get up and get a good view. You go up and you got a few rides you can do. I think there's a restaurant up there, but it's kind of an old-looking tower. It's a lot like the one in Las Vegas, so if you've been there, you know what it looks like. Now, on that point, Macau is not a lot like Las Vegas. It often gets called the Las Vegas of China. I think that kind of sells it short. It's much more than Vegas in a way, and it's also very different than Vegas. So the only real comparison, the only real similarity is the fact that they're both gambling towns. And, it is that, but in Macau it tends to be high-end gambling. If you're not going to put a good $30 on the table, on the cheapest tables, then you probably don't want to be gambling in Macau because it's not for small-time gamblers. But the good news from Macau is that it's like a 500-year-old city, so it has a lot of history. And it's also, I don't know how much you know about Macau, but originally was a Portuguese colony. So it's pretty interesting to see Portugal in China. It's different. It's definitely different. Now, this long walk here that I'm taking, which will take a few minutes, and maybe give me a chance to tell you a little bit about Macau, is kind of what the city looks like. It's a lot like Hong Kong. It's across the estuary, the delta, the river delta, from Hong Kong. It's kind of like a mirror image of Hong Kong. It is like Hong Kong. It's set up entirely on a peninsula, the tip of a peninsula, and an island, or I should say some islands, a few islands. And except it's the reverse from Hong Kong in that the main city is on the peninsula, and the islands are where, in modern times, they've kind of not constructed the islands, but expanded them and put in a lot of landfill and made them bigger than they originally were, and that's where you find all of the casinos, not all the casinos, I should say, but the big Vegas-style, Vegas-looking casinos. The Paris and the Venetian and the MGM, those are on the islands. And this area you're looking at right here is the original old city, which is on the peninsula. And I think you probably find more tourist sites on the peninsula in the old city. But then again, you want to go down to the casinos too, so you'll probably be doing both of them. They're easy bus rides from one to the other. I was testing my artistic filming the ground as I walk trick here, which may work as a cutaway, but not as a main focus. I'm still practicing on getting a lot of these shots that I want to show people. So I hope you'll bear with me on that. Oh, here's one of the big tourist sites in Macau. It's a ruined cathedral from. It's actually not a cathedral. It gets called one though. It's the ruins of a church from a long time ago. I think it's about a 400-year-old church. Like I said, I just wanted to get this episode out there because it's been so long already since I've been. So please forgive the fact that I have not written a script on this. That's what I'd like to do in the future, but I'll probably have to make another trip to Macau. So that's worst things have happened really. I love going to Macau. It's a lot of fun. Kind of a lot of frustration too, though. It's different than mainland China and Hong Kong. That's a big, what you're looking at now is a big tourist site. It's a lighthouse, an old lighthouse, but and it's a cool little church. There's a chapel and lighthouse next to each other. But what you really go for is the view. That's the view of downtown Macau. Some pretty cool building. You can see the tower in the background, and the big hotel there that's prominent, which you can't miss, is the the Grand Lisboa. And it's probably I don't know if it's the first casino, but it's like the big old casino. It's older than the ones down on the islands. And it's a pretty impressive building, I think. There's your lighthouse and church. Pretty cool little area. All right, now moving on down to the island. This is the island area. Those are some hotels across from the Paris, Macau, which is very similar to the Paris, Las Vegas, not in layout, but they've got all the same stuff. You can go up in the Eiffel Tower if you want to get a view of the area. On the inside, it's grand looking, luxurious looking, but it's really kind of a average hotel. They charge a pretty penny for this, and it's not really a luxury hotel, so I don't like staying at those places. You can get much nicer hotels nearby and just come and take pictures here. That's what my notice of Holland Island is anyway. But it does make for good shots, good pictures. Just to let you know that the food court situation in Macau is pretty much the same as it is in Vegas. It's a super luxurious looking hotel, and then you get a food court from a mall. So not really terribly luxurious, just fast food. This one though is the Venetian. Obviously we've moved over at this point to the Venetian, and it's pretty cool. I like the little water thing. I'm disturbed by people I hear say that it's just like Venice. I don't think it is. I've not been to Venice, but I can pretty much say this is not just like Venice. This is just like a mall made to look like Venice, which is fine. I'm not knocking it. It's a cool little thing. Very similar to the one in Vegas. Although I've got to be honest, I don't think I've gone in as many times as I've been to Vegas. I've never been inside the Venetian because I knew it would look like this. It's fun looking though. Again, fun place to take pictures. I went to the Venetian in Macau. All I got was this lousy T-shirt. Yeah, but big. I think that's the one thing that's very different, as is everywhere in China, between Macau and Las Vegas, is that they built the same hotel, but it seems 10 times bigger, and they are very large. And you are not supposed to take these, I found out. You're not supposed to take videos on the gaming floor like this. That is not allowed. So, yeah, this is a fairly short vid. I'll turn it off relatively quickly here. There you go. I wanted to get some pictures of the public transit. Well, I like to get the pictures of transportation systems wherever I go, because, I think that's my thing. I want to document that. But this is just a bus. But you'll notice off to the right there, and I get some more videos here in a second. If you notice off to the right, there's what looks like an elevated rail system, and that's what it is. I think it's going to be an automated system, but it's been under construction since I've been here. So it's not running. There's nothing up there now, but it's under construction. And it should be fairly useful, actually, when they get it done, although that'll be several years. I think the first segment's going to open in a year, next year. But I'm not sure how far that will go. And then it's basically connect the big hotels at the airport with a couple of things downtown. And I think go all the way up to the Chinese border. That would be cool. It'll certainly make it easy for people crossing from Zhuhai, which is the Chinese city on the other side. This little street is on one of the islands. I wanted to take a shot of it because the islands, if you go down there, they're dominated by those big, giant mega hotels that you just saw a little bit of. And you can often get the impression that there's nothing there on those islands except those mega hotels, which kind of makes it a depressing place to stay. You can't go out and do any little shopping or get just some local food. You're subject to their food courts, but that's not true. There's actually little villages. The islands are big enough. There's little villages on the island. There's little commercial areas, and the areas are frequented by locals, which I assume probably all work in those big casino hotels. But yeah, you don't have to be restricted to those hotels if you stay on the island. I think staying on the peninsula is a good idea, But we got a great deal on a nice hotel on the island that was not a mega casino. And, well, I think it was worth it. It's made worth it by the fact that there's stuff like this around. If you want to walk down and go do a little shopping or just go grab a bite to eat, there's stuff like this. So that's good. Actually, here on the right, if you noticed when this little episode opened, I was having sangria at a table where I actually had some really nice Portuguese food, and I found it on this street. I just passed it on the right. We also found this bar, which we went to a couple of nights, and it was a nice little bar. It was not dominated by tourists. I think there probably were a couple there, but it was just a cool little bar, and it was about maybe a 20-minute walk from the hotel. Not far. A cab ride back if you're drunk, I guess. This was at our hotel. We're right next to the racetrack, as you can see. We're also right next to the river. I don't technically know if it's the river at this point, but there is a river that feeds out into this. And on the other side is mainland China, which you can always tell China by the gigantic buildings. All this stuff is new. Like this stuff wasn't here just a few years ago, and they're just exploding there. I don't know what's going to happen with that in connection to Macau. Surely they're going to have some sort of port of entry on that side. It's really building up. And I just wanted to take a street shot. I like to do street shots. I probably spend too much time on them, but they give me a chance to tell you about Macau. So yeah, so this is back on the main island. I think I took this actually just as we had gotten there. This is the bus to the hotel in the first place. You don't want. Personally, I don't think you want to take a cab from the port. Not that anybody watching this would be coming from the port necessarily, but from the port of entry in Zhuhai. I don't think you want to take a cab all the way down to a hotel on the island because that would be expensive. And there's a lot of traffic. There's no highways in Macau. There's no big mega highways. And there's no rail system yet, so the bus is really the right answer. It takes a good bit to get down there, but you get to see the city as you go, so I personally like it. I like this part of Macau. But just a warning for the tiny fraction of people out there who may be living in China, if you happen to see this on the internet. If you live in China, you're a foreigner, and you have a Chinese credit card, you are not going to be able to use it at a Macanese ATM. That just does not work. Maybe if you have a Visa, if you have the Union Pay, not so much. If you have a foreign credit card, you'll be fine. Otherwise, you need to bring cash, and I learned that the hard way, and I have proven it to myself. You think I would have learned the first time, but I even warned Meg, who went with me down to Macau, that she needed to bring some cash, and then I did not go to the ATM and get the cash myself because I was certain I had dealt with my bank and dealt with the problem. There's no way to deal with the problem. It's just a rule. You have to have a Chinese ID card to use your Chinese credit card, and the machine is not going to take any argumentation. It just does not give you the money. So this is the train out. We take the fast train down to Guangzhou, and then there's another fast train that you connect to go all the way right up to the border. It's very, very convenient, and I recommend it for the 0 people for whom that will apply.